Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we will be presenting our Capstone project titled Upgrading Middle Georgia State University Password Policy, a comparative study of Harvard University and Microsoft. This study focuses on understanding how modern authentication practices have evolved and how MGA can adopt these best practices to strengthen security, improve user experience, and also align with updated NIST and zero trust standards. Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the current challenges, what we learned from Microsoft and Harvard, and the modernization roadmap we recommend for Middle Georgia. On this slide, I'll summarize the purpose of this study so that you can get more insight on what's ahead. Passwords remain a major vulnerability across all industries, but the problem is especially challenging in higher education due to thousands of users, seasonal turnover, and open digital environments. Our research compares Microsoft enterprise grade identity practices with Harvard's higher education model to determine what MGA can adopt. The main takeaway is that modern authentication requires MFA, long passphrases, breach screening, and adaptive controls, all areas where MGA can improve. This slide set the stage for why modernization is necessary. Passwords are still the number one vector for account compromise. Users forget them, reuse them, or create weak, predictable patterns. Meanwhile, cyber threats are constantly evolving, with attackers relying on phishing, MFA fatigue, credential stuffing, and social engineering. Higher education institutions like MGA face greater exposure due to campus openness, remote access needs, and diverse user groups. This means our authentication system must be stronger, simpler, and more adaptive. On this slide, I'll review MGA's current password policy. The policy requires at least 8 characters, a mixture of letter types, numbers, and symbols, along with annual password resets. Users cannot use personal information or previously used passwords. However, this policy was created in 2015 and is based on outdated assumptions. It lacks MFA requirement, does not support breach password screening, has no guidance on password manager, and does not incorporate adaptive authentication. This leaves users more vulnerable than they should be. Here on this slide, we will discuss the weaknesses in the current policy. This slide highlights 4 major weaknesses. First, mandatory password changes encourage predictable password patterns. Second, complexity requires often hinder usability without meaningfully increasing security. Third, without a password manager, users resort to unsafe habits like writing passwords down or even reusing them. And finally, the absence of MFA or conditional access means a single stolen password could grant full access to systems. These weaknesses make modernization not optional but essential. Now we will undergo a comparative analyst overview. Microsoft represents a cutting edge enterprise identity model with automation and passwordless authentication. Harvard represents modern higher education best practice that balances academic culture with strong cybersecurity. By comparing MGA to these two institutions, we were able to see exactly where MGA stands and where it can improve. This comparison helped us design recommendations that are practical and realistic for a public university environment.
The Microsoft model, slide 7. In this slide, I'll dive deeper into Microsoft model. Microsoft uses passwordless authentication through Windows Hello, a FIDO2 keys, and the Authenticator app. They enforce MFA for all accounts and perform password screening continuously. Conditional access elevates user risk based on location, device, compliance, and behavior, ensuring high risk sign in sign in require additional verification, which makes Microsoft especially effective is their focus on user experience, reducing prompts, using single sign-ons, and enabling fast, secure recovery. Next, we look at the Harvard model. This is a little different. Harvard uses long 12 to 16 character passphrases and requires dual MFA access across all users. They remove forced password resets unless compromise is suspected, which aligns with modern NIST guidance. They use password managers, single sign-ons, and periodic access reviews, especially for research systems. Harvard approach shows that universities can implement strict enterprise level security while still supporting academic freedom and stability. And for my slide 9, we did key insights. And these are the three different um, security policies we looked at. This summarizes what we learned. Both Microsoft and Harvard rely heavily on MFA. Passphrases, reach screening, and adaptive access. They treat security as a continuous process supported by automation and user education. But compared to MGA security posture, that still depends on a static password rules. The difference underscores the need for a modern layered security approach that focuses on ease of use as much as security enforcement. With the slide 10, we found that uh, methodology. On this slide, I explained our research approach. We conducted a qualitative comparative analysis using publicly available security policies from Microsoft, Harvard, and MGA. We evaluated each policy across 6 domains: passwords structure, MFA, lifecycle management, governance, adaptive access, and user experience. Each member of our team reviewed these independently, then met to reach a consensus. This structured approach ensured we gathered unbiased, actionable insights. And in this slide, I for our slide 11, we did recommendation overview is adopt a password manager, update password construction rules, extend user education and awareness, and enforce MFA for all accounts, and integrate adaptive and automated controls. A password manager allows users to store and generate secure passwords, eliminates memorization, and reduces password reuse drastically. It also aligns with NIST guidance, which encourages the use of tools that make Se- makes secure behavior easier for users, and it deploys a centralized password manager for students, faculty, and staff, would reduce breach risks and lower help desk ticket volumes for password resets.
For slide 13, we're going to talk about the second part, recommendations. This is we'll talk about updating password criteria. On this slide is where we're going to focus on modernizing the NGA core password requirements. We recommend increasing the minimum length to 12 characters and encouraging the use of passphrases. Passphrases are both easier to remember and significantly stronger than traditional complex passwords that are currently used. By removing the outdated complexity rules, this allows the user to create longer, more natural phrases instead of short, confusing combinations that we all seem to lose very often. We also recommend eliminating forced password resets unless there is evidence of a compromise to the account. Instead of all the passwords should be checked against known breaches database to prevent attackers from using stolen credentials. This is actually very important. The not going back and just changing the passwords yearly, actually making sure you do make the change once the account is actually compromised. Finally, requiring a multi-factor authentication across all MGA systems is essential. Multi-factor authentication alone blocks the overwhelming majority of account takeover attempts and delivers some with the highest security impact for the minimal user burden. On this slide, we're going to talk about the recommendations, the third part, which is by user education. This slide highlights the importance of building a cybersecure culture across the university. Users need to understand why passphrases matter and why multi-factor authentication is required and how password managers protect them. Uh, the education part of it is very important. We do got to make sure there's a reason why we're doing what we're doing. So education does not have to be long or complicated. It's just simple. It just needs to be something simple and to be consistent. On why we recommend short micro trainings built directly into the system to make sure we can actually train students and staff who are already using this software. We also recommend on campus help booths during busy periods. This could especially be during registration time. This will help create a campaign that will actually highlight the personal benefits of using this kind of security and this layers included, which include the protection of grades, payrolls, and financial aid, because we need to be able to provide answers of why there is a reasoning behind this policy and why we need to follow it. Now we will talk about metrics and evaluations. To measure the process, MGA should track several key metrics. This includes multi-factor enrollment, password reset volume, account takeover incidents, first attempt login success, user satisfaction rating, as well as training completion rates. Reviewing these metrics monthly or even quarterly will give leadership a visibility into what's actually improving and where there's actually friction that needs to be corrected. And also, it can provide where additional resources might be needed. Metrics ensure that the policy remains effective and continues evolving with the user and the security demands. On this slide, we will talk about the roadmap for implementation. This slide is going to outline the three different phases, which are going to be part of the roadmap for implementing this improvements. For phase one, this will include the policy update and the multi-factor authentication deployment that will be going out for users as well as administration. When it comes to phase two, this will be the section where we're going to be rolling out the password management and as well as the user training. This will be global training across the whole campus on the proper use of password manager. When it comes to phase three, this will be the conditional access and the automation. This will be able to provide the require access depending on your level of permissions. If you're in finance, or if you're an educator, or if you're a user or a student, you'll be able to be provided the correct access. In conclusion, upgrading MJ's policy is more than a technical update. It does represent a big cultural shift toward a stronger and more user friendly identity security. By learning from Microsoft Enterprise approach as well as Harvard's higher education model, MGA can adopt best practices that both secure will both create security and usability. Passphrases, multi-factor authentications, uh, breach password screenings, password managers, conditional access, and eventually passwordless authentication. All this work together to significantly strengthen the university's cybersecurity posture. Most importantly, this changes protect institutional systems and the personal information from every student, faculty, and staff member. Uh, this modernization is practical, achievable, essential to the university's future.